Today we're going to talk about what to do if your ex-girlfriend says that she hates you. Now, this is obviously a highly researched and talked about topic, but I'd like to add something new to the conversation based on my own personal experience in coaching many different men and women who are going through breakups and what actually works in making someone who says that they hate you not necessarily come back, but kind of get back on an even playing field with you. But first things first, if you haven't already, make sure you stop by my website, Ex-Girlfriend Recovery at www.exgirlfriendrecovery.com and take my Ex Recovery Chances quiz. So basically, if you're sitting there considering getting back with your ex-girlfriend, but you're a little scared to put the effort or work into it because you feel like you don't have a great chance, I put together a special quiz on my website to help you determine that very thing. Now, all you have to do if you want to take this free quiz is simply look in the description link below this YouTube video and click on the blue link you see there. Okay, with that out of the way, let's talk about hatred and ex-girlfriends. So if you don't know my process behind these videos, basically what I do is I research a topic that people are searching a lot online, and I kind of take a stab. I throw my hat into the ring on my take on it. Now, having an ex-girlfriend hate you is one of the most common searches throughout Google. But what I happen to notice is that not really anyone came up with any specific ways to overcome someone who hates you. And I'd like to talk about my experience in doing just that. So one really cool thing about this YouTube channel and my website is that I post a lot of different success story interviews. So the thinking is anyone who goes through the program, gets their ex back, I will try to have onto my podcast where I'll interview them and figure out, hey, what did this person do that worked versus what is everyone else doing that's not working? I'm trying to figure out the patterns of what's ultimately working. And what's really interesting is on multiple occasions, I've interviewed men and women who've literally said that they had their exes say, I hate you, or I'm never gonna get back together with you again, or you need to move on. And yet I'm interviewing them, so that means they got their exes back. So what gives? Where is this hatred coming from? Do they mean it when they say, I hate you? Well, hatred in and of itself is a very emotional response. And as you probably have realized by now, when you go through a breakup, you go through a lot of different emotions. But in my experience, when an ex-girlfriend says, I hate you, she does mean it in that moment. She doesn't mean she hates you forever. It's more of the reaction to whatever is occurring in the moment. And as you know, breakups tend to be extremely emotional. So, you know the old phrase, when emotions run high, logic runs low, and that certainly can be the case here. But don't let that discourage you, because believe it or not, there is an approach you can take to deal with someone who says that they hate you. Okay, I'm gonna drop down the YouTube facade here and just basically tell you the truth of what I experienced throughout coaching calls. So as you know, I have two very large websites, Ex-Boyfriend Recovery and Ex-Girlfriend Recovery. And when I first started, I was very scared to do coaching. I started back in 2012. I didn't want to get on the phone with anyone because I just was scared to interact with people. I didn't feel like I was good enough to give people advice. But over the years, as I learned more and got more experience, I took my first stab at coaching. I'll never forget it. My first day of coaching, I had like 5 different coaching sessions lined up. That was 5 straight hours back to back to back to back where I'm coaching people. And something struck me as odd. So I'd get on the coaching call and I would sit there and listen. Now, in order to do a proper coaching call, you need to kind of figure out, start to finish, what happened with the breakup, what caused the breakup, what are some of the issues, what is this person doing after the breakup. And so I'd be asking all of these qualifying questions, but in some of these coaching calls, people would just simply talk the entire hour. They would just continue talking and telling me all about their situation. And it became almost clear that they really didn't want me to coach them. They wanted me to listen to them, to feel heard. Now, this is important for many different reasons, but this year I happened to pick up a book called Never Split the Difference by Chris Voss. Now, essentially this book is teaching you how to negotiate with someone from an FBI lead hostage negotiation expert, Chris Voss. I read this book and it just blew my mind, specifically this part on empathy. So in the book, Chris Voss talks about how he would go to like Harvard or these really huge Ivy League schools who are focused on psychology to figure out what is working. And what kind of was fascinating is it turned out to be the other way around, to where the Harvard people were asking Chris Voss, hey, what are you doing that's working in the field? And what they found is talking to a hostage taker works better if you empathize with their world view. And so it made me think about the coaching clients that I would take on. The very first few ones that would just continue talking and to the point where 45 minutes of our allotted hour of coaching sessions is just them telling me their situation. What they're really looking for, what they're craving, is empathy. They want to know that they're not alone. They want to know that they have someone on their side, someone to share their pain. Now, I only bring that up because when you're looking at an emotion like hatred, it kind of coincides with a lack of empathy. Now, what do I mean by that? Well, the truth is, I mean that when your ex-girlfriend says that she hates you, it is often born from a lack of empathy on your part. She feels that you don't understand her, and she hates this fact. So if you were to ask me right now, at the stage of my career, what is the most effective way for a male to talk to a female after a breakup when the female says, I hate you, it's to simply empathize with her, to simply label emotions. Now, what is this concept of labeling emotions? Well, I'm not gonna lie, I stole this from Chris Voss because it's what he uses to hostage negotiation takers, and it helps you empathize with someone else's worldview. And I think this is kind of an important thing to do, especially if you and your ex-girlfriend are on different wavelengths. She hates you, you love her. You're on different wavelengths. So how can you bridge the gap so that you're on the same wavelength? Well, simply by labeling her emotions. But how does this work? Okay, so labeling is a way of validating someone's emotions by basically acknowledging it. You give someone emotions a name and you identify with how that person feels. It gets you close to someone without really asking about the external factors you know nothing about. And labeling negative emotions can often diffuse them, while labeling positive emotions reinforces them. So I'll give you a few real-life examples. Your ex-girlfriend says that she hates you. So you enter into what I often recommend is a no contact period. And then eventually you get back into contact with her and things seem kind of okay, but you still have this lingering feeling that she hates you. How is the best way to label her emotions? Because really what your job is to simply look at her world from her point of view. So let's say that she gets emotional in a conversation with you. The best thing you can do is use this following phrase. It seems like blank, or it seems like this is happening. So let's give it an example. Let's say that you and your ex-girlfriend are in a fight, or she's arguing, or she holds some extreme resentment towards you. What you should probably do is start off a conversation by simply saying, now it seems like you're extremely upset because you feel I didn't pull my weight during the relationship. Now, what's going on here? Not only are you labeling how she's feeling, you're acknowledging her worldview, but you're actually showing her that you're looking at the world from her point of view. She's angry because guess what? She feels you haven't pulled your weight in the relationship. So one of the best ways to diffuse the situation is simply by putting it on the table and saying, look, I understand how you feel. And you need to do this consistently any single time that she shows any kind of emotions like this, because what you'll do is diffuse those negative emotions to the point where you can have a constructive conversation and help towards getting her back. Now, looking at an ex-girlfriend who hates you and labeling her emotions obviously isn't going to be enough to push you over the finish line, because timing of when you do this matters just as much as you doing it in general. So if you want to figure out the timing of when you should do this, I honestly don't have enough time in this video to explain our process of the value ladder or the value chain. The best bet you have is to stop by our website, www.exgirlfriendrecovery.com, and just start devouring the free articles there. Or if you want the quick, fast version to tell you exactly what you should be doing, probably buy my ex-girlfriend recovery program, which is only $47. That includes 30 different video courses, 30 different PDF courses, 30 different audio courses, as well as a discount on coaching session with either me or one of my coaches, and access to our private Facebook support group. So there's a lot of cool stuff in there that will help you kind of figure out the timing of when you do this. But if you want to look at a situation where your ex-girlfriend, quote unquote, hates you and you want to label the emotions, when should the right time be? Like I said, I don't have all the time in the world right now to tell you when the timing is, but generally speaking, you want to do this only after she has exhibited anger. That's it. She's exhibited anger, and it's obviously not during the no contact rule. That's when you pull out the labeling effectively. And I do highly recommend that you pick up the book that I talked about called Never Split the Difference. Not only is it great for getting an ex-girlfriend back or understanding an ex-girlfriend back or learning how to talk to an ex-girlfriend, it's great for all types of negotiations in life. Ever want to buy a car and get the best deal? Never Split the Difference is perfect. Ever want to figure out how to extend a deadline at work? Never Split the Difference is perfect. It's a book that I highly recommend, and I feel like it should be a prerequisite for anyone in life, because if you really think about it, life is full of negotiations. Hey there, thank you so much for getting to the end of this video. Again, if you haven't already, make sure you take that quiz that I was talking about at the beginning of this video, the free X Recovery Chances quiz. All you have to do is simply look in the description link below this YouTube video and click on it. It's that straightforward and that simple. Okay, that's it. So basically like, comment, subscribe, and I'll see you next time.